G'day everyone, welcome back. In this episode we head to a place in North Western Tasmania where the ferns tower over you. I give away one of my favourite locations in Tassie and explain how I find new locations to shoot. And I break down the incident that almost ended the trip before it began. At the moment we're heading out to one of my favourite locations in the north of Tassie. It is this place that has huge ferns that actually dwarf the Defender. So epic photography spot. Even if you're not into photography, definitely worth the look. So one of the questions I get asked a lot about is locations. Now, I'm not one to geotag, mainly because I believe that if you put in the effort, it's really not that hard. But what I'm going to do today is show you guys how I find my locations, and I'll give away one of my secrets as to one of my favourite locations in Tasmania. So first of all, let's get stuck in and head to Google Earth. Okay, so scrolling up from the inlets. Now over here on the right hand side, you'll see this is the Nut. Now the Nut's amazing, but it's been shot a billion times, and it's the most obvious thing that you see once you come into Stanley. Now, great photos, but I want something a little bit more unique. If you have a look over here on West Beach, you can actually see there's so many textures in the sand here. So if I zoom in, you can see that I'm gonna get all these like lovely pools of water and just like these crazy different like ripples over the entire beach. Now I know that the further the tide goes out, the more ripples there are going to be, so I'm going to try and time this location for low tide. Also, if we zoom out here, we can see that this is going to be on the west side, but all the land over to the east is going to be quite low lying. Now I know that because I've been there quite a few times. Now if you can get up contours on all that kind of stuff, you can figure this stuff out pretty easily. But it's going to be actually a pretty good location, probably for sunset, but also for sunrise is not going to be bad at all because there is a lack of height on the land there. I just want to try and time this location for sunrise or sunset when the light's going to be best, and also when the tide's going to be lowest, to give me a full beach of like all those lovely big crazy ruts, whatever you call them, all throughout the beach. So now we know the factors as to what we need when we're going out and shooting. All we have to do is try and time all of those factors. And then obviously it's up to Mother Nature as to whether she actually gives us what we want. So yeah, it's just a matter of trial and error, and that's something that I also love and hate about photography. Sometimes you get absolutely burnt, and then sometimes you just get absolute stunners. So yeah, that's it. You just got to hope for the best, I guess. Just got to our location. So after all the scouting, we want to try and time it with low tide. Tide's on its way out. It's about 2 hours until it's dead low tide. Things still look quite wet. I'm a little bit worried about driving out there, but We'll go stomp around a little bit, see how we go. And then we still have about half an hour until the sun actually dips below the horizon. So we'll try and time things pretty close to that, but I also don't want to spend too much time out there because I am a little bit worried about getting stuck and then the tide coming back in. But we'll see. We'll see how we bloody go. We have about 2 minutes, so just putting the drone up now because I think that'll look sick, yeah, with one of those things where light is running out fast. Unfortunately tonight the light we were chasing didn't eventuate, and to be honest that's how things go for the majority of our photography missions, no matter how much planning and scouting we do. Sometimes we do luck out and get conditions that blow our minds. Here is a comparison from a sunrise shoot in the same location a few months back. Just look at this goodness! What is even going on? Yo! These are the moments we live for as creatives, chasing insane light in epic locations. It's a feeling we're constantly chasing, and I'm not sure if I'll ever satisfy it. So we're just finishing up here. We're about to head down to the west coast. Now, I love the west coast because it's so rough and raw and rugged, and I kind of think that wildness is essentially the essence of Tasmania. So looking forward to getting down there and checking out the spot where the whole incident happened. And yeah, I'll get to all that happening a little bit later. So anyway, first, got to get to West Coast. Let's go. The incident. As you can see, I got myself into a bit of a pickle here. I thought that I'd be able to slip up the right hand side of that big bog hole, and once my back wheel slipped in, I thought I could keep on going with the momentum and get through it, but the further I got through the bog hole, the deeper that wheel sank, and then the more angle started happening, and it just got to a point where I was pretty certain that we were going to tip. And I felt bad for Finn because he was on the lower side and he thought that the entire camper was going to be like rolled onto him. But anyway, we stopped and Graham jumped out, Finn jumped out. Luckily for me, I have independent airbag suspension at the back from Airbag Man, so I can lower the airbags on the right hand side and pump up the ones on the left to try and like even out the angle a little bit. So that helped a lot. But then some other boys jumped on the track and they helped us out. They were standing on the side steps, putting a lot of weight on there. They were helping dig out underneath the diffs. He got the sandboards out, and in the end they hooked on with their little buggies. Had no weight to this thing, the little buggy, but it was just enough to pull us through. I felt pretty dumb because I have the winch on the front, but at that stage it wasn't actually wired up. It was on my to-do list, but I just hadn't got around to doing it. So yeah, I was pretty dumb. But anyway, I learned my lesson. It was a case of it could have got a whole lot worse. really quickly, and I'm very, very glad that it ended the way it did, where I learnt my lesson, but it didn't turn catastrophic and it didn't end the trip before it even began. So from there, after the incident, we packed up, threw the sandboards in, drove around to a campsite that we wanted to stay at for the night, just popped the top, had some beers, watched the drone clip about 100 times and laughed so much at the whole situation. But it was just a really good time to reflect on what could have happened and what could have been a lot more catastrophic than what it actually was. And luckily we got treated to a pretty epic sunset that night, so we just settled in for the night. That's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. Please like, subscribe, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Things you love, things you don't love, all feedback is welcome. So thanks again. See you in the next one. Go! Go, 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 go! Go!